And let's talk about some of the DEI stuff that's going on in Washington. We know that Trump signed some executive orders essentially banning DEI in federal agencies. What is your initial reaction to that swift action?
Well, I think it's really devastating. In the last 72 hours, we've seen a lot of things being stripped. And with that stripping is coming a real anxiety for so many different communities. Removing diversity, equity, and inclusion from contracts, from education, just from every sphere of life where it's totally necessary, it makes a lot of people feel like they're at a disadvantage. And it also leads to a presumption that we didn't have a history in which women and minorities were actually disadvantaged and didn't have the opportunity to go to school and get an education and also get the jobs that they actually deserved and they were merit-based. What we've been looking at more so and being focused is to make sure that we're not ignoring our past, that we're actually reconciling our past with our future. And what that means is that we can't just strip away certain legislation and have this assumption that, hey, now everything is merit-based. If we're going to actually create a merit-based society, we need to have merit-based policies. So I'm more than happy to work with the Trump administration so we can have these merit-based policies. But unfortunately, because right now we have this stripping without a replacement, there's going to be a lot of people who will lose their jobs because of that assumption that you didn't earn that job. But if we had substituted it, then maybe we would have seen more people who actually merited their job be in their job and not going with a lapse. And I think that's the real hurt. We've been talking to a lot of people in our communities, and they are actually in fear. They're very anxious. I mean, there are people who actually left their jobs, had their whole savings, and they created their businesses. And right now, some of their contractors are like, well, we don't know if we're going to go forward with your contract, supply chain contractors. And right now, our economy is so vulnerable. American people are so vulnerable that, you know, if you don't get that contract, that you won't be able to feed your family and you probably won't be able to keep your house. There's so many workers right now who need to have that paycheck because groceries are expensive. Housing is expensive. Just living today is so expensive. Even paying for your children to have the substitute care that they might need in tutoring. We see so many kids right now who have disabilities. Compounding everything we've been going through is really the tough place we're in right now. Last Congress, the Republican Congress said that we couldn't fund community projects that worked with job skills training, which is tough too, because now we can't even train up our community members to get the jobs they're looking for. So that's where the anxiety is. And that's where we're really pushing to work with the administration to have merit-based policies as soon as possible. I think one thing that got lost in the diversity, equity, and inclusion conversation was the goal was to create pipelines for people who traditionally didn't have the opportunity for jobs. And traditionally, those people were women, minorities, and anybody who wasn't part of the, you know, the good old boys club. So then when you had Americans who had parents who worked in factories, who sacrificed and sent their kids to school, and who dreamed of actually, you know, getting this job that can pay them and they can actually break through poverty, they were left out because they didn't know the right people. And so if we're reimagining America, removing diversity and equity and inclusion, let's reconcile it with a merit-based policy that creates pipelines for all Americans. And so that's what we're trying to lean in on and make sure that we're not ignoring the future and we're not putting anybody in harm's way, especially when it comes to financial stability and economic justice.
Now, there has been some state senators, one who is running for Congress right now, who says that DEI is racist. Mm-hmm. What is your reaction to that?
Absolutely not. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you look at the steps that were being taken, and if you look at the language of the law, there is no racism built in it. It's actually a policy that actually is trying to combat the history that we have and the uninclusive nature of the United States. And so if you have a problem with that policy, I think what we need to focus on is how do we keep moving forward towards being a better nation? So just stripping and removing it and saying it's racist, where does that leave us? We live in a world right now that is also moving and changing. I mean, we have to be agile. If you don't like that policy, what is the other policy? How do we make it more inclusive for you then? But removing it and ignoring our history, removing it and ignoring that we had a whole class of people who were stolen from one country, brought into the United States, who had all their labor and the money that they were deserving to be paid stripped from them, now thrown out there and said, hey, catch up, even though there was a stigma placed on them, to ignore the fact that women couldn't go to school, women couldn't actually get jobs and get paid what they were supposed to get paid. As of today, women still aren't getting paid what we're supposed to be getting paid. And to ignore that and say, okay, let's remove everything, now we're equal, it's a lie. It's a lie to all of us. And it's a disservice to all of us, because each of us, when we look in our families, we have women in our families. Now we have more minorities in our family. If we want to bring America up to the forefront and up to being first place, everyone has to thrive. Everyone has to actually be a participant. And that's where our pride comes in. I think our American dream, which we all buy into, that's why we're in the United States, means that everyone in the United States who works towards it can get there. So any person who's believing that diversity, equity, inclusion was not the best policy, let's work together and find the best policy then. But let's not ignore the past, and let's reconcile our past and our future and move this country forward.
And now there's talks about this sort of trickle-down effect coming to Florida. As you know, Governor Ron DeSantis, he has banned DEI at public colleges and universities. And now there are talks that this will expand into our local governments. Any programs that our local governments offer for DEI may go away. Do you see that happening here in Florida?
I think that's a real reality. And that's why I've been rushing and trying to push forward. What is the next policy? Come on, guys, what are we going to do? Let's get to work. I mean, when we were elected to these positions, we're elected to be thought leaders and policy makers. What is that policy? Let's not be contrarians, always saying, I don't like it, remove it, and we get stuck in park. If anything, we're moving, at this point, we're sliding backwards. How do we fulfill our responsibility to the American people right here and right now? Let's write a new policy. What is that? And reality is, I talked to so many people who had a policy, or they had a business deal they were doing, and now everybody's slowing down. The real reason why people are slowing down is because no one wants to make the wrong move. No one wants to be the person to say, I implemented this policy that no longer, or you knew was going to be stripped. So now you have businesses and business people who are anxious. And we don't have to live in a country where we're anxious. We can actually live in a country where, you know, we're actually rewarded for taking risk and inviting people and investing in our communities. And so that's what I'm trying to push towards now, especially in Congress. Let's get more Republicans, more Democrats. Let's write this merit-based policy today so we can stop the anxiety.
And since I have you here, Congresswoman, you know, the state of Florida is suing your family's medical health services company. Attorneys for your family's company have said that they were unable to verify this COVID overpayment that the state is alleging. Is that your response as well? I know you were the CEO at the time.
Well, right now I'm in my congressional capacity and we can't have that conversation. However, what I can say is that I think there was some misreporting that I signed invoices. As a CEO, I've never signed any invoices. So I want to make that clear.
Okay. You know, this is just for accountability for your constituents because these questions keep arising.
Yes, but right now I'm in my office, but I just wanted to focus on the facts and the truth. And I know that the business is handling and the attorneys have spoken to people, but I just wanted to be very clear as we're going forward that, you know, the truth is being said, which there was nothing that I was signing. And, you know, at the right
But you
time,
did not sign any invoices.
in the right time, in the right venue, those things would be dealt. But as CEO, I never signed any invoices. I just want to clarify that because I heard there was a conception. And like I said, in the right time and right space. But right now I'm doing the people's work. And I'm fighting for the people. And I
would say that I would even argue that you're doing the people's work here because this was, you know, this was your constituents.
Right now I'm doing the people's work. I'm fighting for the people. And right now the people are feeling anxious. So as they're feeling anxious, we're staying focused. We're fighting to make sure that everybody can live the American dream. And we're fighting to make sure that we all can move forward together. So I thank you so much for having this interview. And
thank you. I thank you for clarifying that you did not sign those invoices. So I'm wondering who did.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Liz Quidantes.
And I'm Jim Grimes.
Tonight, an update on a growing controversy involving Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick and the nearly $6 million in taxpayer money overpaid to her company, Trinity Healthcare Services, for its work assisting with the state's COVID response.
Yeah, for weeks now, our Victoria DeCardenas has been trying to get some answers from the Congresswoman about where the money went when she was the CEO of Trinity.
Now she has tried again. Victoria, how did it go?
Let me set the stage for you. The Congresswoman was doing a ribbon cutting for a new business here in Vero Beach, just down the street from our news station, which made this my first opportunity to ask what happened to these millions of dollars face to face. Florida's Department of Emergency Management is suing Trinity Healthcare Services because the state accidentally overpaid invoices to the tune of more than $5.7 million. And when they asked the company to return those tax dollars, they claim they got no response. Weeks after the lawsuit was filed, Trinity's attorneys told the I-Team they did respond, but the state ignored them. The overpayments occurred in the spring of 2021, while Cherfilus-McCormick was the CEO of Trinity, her family's company. She left the job soon afterwards to run for Congress and eventually won the seat formerly held by Alcee Hastings. But the Office of Congressional Ethics has been investigating her campaign finances, and she reported to them she got a $6 million raise from Trinity in 2021. And just days after Trinity was overpaid by $5 million, Cherfilus-McCormick personally loaned her congressional campaign committee $2 million. And she reported making more large loans after that. We tried to get answers from the Congresswoman before, but since she was back in the district at this event, we tried again.
I also wanted to ask you about the investigation into your families, but this is also part of her congressional duties. Congresswoman, you know, you're under investigation for the congressional ethics for violation of campaign finances. Congresswoman, this is your district. You have to answer to these people. Congresswoman.
Attorneys for her family's healthcare company aren't answering the I-Team's questions either. And the Department of Emergency Management says they won't comment on ongoing litigation, leaving taxpayers and her constituents wondering what happened to those millions. One piece of new information we do have tonight is that this case is going to mediation, so it's out of the courts for now. Attorney Mark Rosen of LaBelle Rosen, who is not involved in this case, says all that means is a person who is certified by the state will work with both parties to resolve the dispute out of court. If they reach a settlement, Rosen expects it will be made public because it's the people's money. If they can't come to an agreement, it could wind up back in court. Back to you.
Thanks, Victoria. If you have a story or a tip related to government waste you'd like us to check out, you can call us at the number there on the screen, 561-881-0796, or you can send an email to newstips@cbs12.com.
Sheila, I'm from CBS12 News. We want to ask you about this money, the taxpayers' money that was overpaid, almost $6 million. Do you have any intention of repaying that money?
Well, we can't have the conversation right now. Right now, the attorneys are handling it. But if you want us to talk about the union members who are here and how we can help the unions and protect all of our citizens here, we would love to have that conversation.
Yeah,
but once that's resolved, then we can have that conversation. But right now, we can't have it.
The
so
state
we'd love
is.
to talk to you more about that.
Why don't you
but
speak with us right now? We've been trying to get
union,
answers about this for a
well,
long time.
We can't talk about it right now.
Why
but
not?
we have
Why
our
is
union
that?
because the attorneys are dealing with it. It's a legal matter. But we have the union members here who would love to talk to you about what's going on.
Don't you have something to say to the taxpayers about this?
Hi.
Very nice to finally meet you, man.
Yes, thank you so much.
We'll be up there in D.C. on the 22nd of March to meet with you guys if you're going to be around.
Yes.
And everybody's going to be up there on the hill. So
That's awesome. Thank you.
please, I remember entertaining one of your staffers the other day. It was
Yes.
very nice to see you.
Okay.
So nice to see you again. Very nice to finally meet you.
Thank you so
Have a good
How
day,
could,
man.
how could
Thank
you
you.
keep this money? How could you keep the taxpayers' money? Pardon me, we're here at a public meeting, we're asking her
And
questions.
I advised you to contact our communications director if you would like a meeting at a later time.
Well, we would like
are
an
here.
interview.
Okay, so
we've asked for
contact
interviews, and you
but
don't
you're not
return
going to
our
have one
calls.
here. You're not going to have
Why,
one here
why is that?
because we are here about the issues that we discussed here.
But she's an elected official. She owes
I
an answer
answered your
to the
question.
taxpayers.
I answered your question.
No, I'm asking her,
No,
why
and I
doesn't she
answered your
repay the
question.
money? I'm asking
And I
her.
answered your question.
Okay, well, we're going to ask her because she owes the taxpayers an answer about this. She does. I mean, this is going on for weeks now. This is ridiculous.
I've answered your question. She's not taking an interview.
Okay, well, we're here and we're going to try to ask her questions because that's what the taxpayers would want, right? I mean, her constituents need to have some explanation about this. It's ridiculous. It really is. This is not just a few bucks. This is almost $6 million.
She is here in her official capacity. You're asking questions that have to do with a private entity business.
We're not going anywhere. We're going to stick around
That's
here.
fine.
Okay, and you can stay with us
And
if you'd
that
like.
is fine as well.
What is your name, by the way?
I prefer not to answer that.
Well, if you're her representative, why wouldn't you want to give us your name?
We are not giving any interviews or any statements about this matter at this time.
But it's pretty hard to ignore, isn't it? I mean, she took all this money from the taxpayers. The state's having to sue to get this back. I mean, wow.
Did you get my email? A long time ago.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good.
You look familiar to me. I'm not sure why, but you do look familiar.
What was your name?
Al Peffley from CBS12.
Sounds familiar.
That's my card. You're still rolling, right, Ed? Okay.
She doesn't want to be a millionaire. She doesn't want to do that. She wants to do her job. You get what I'm saying? So like, she's a nurse. I could go make a lot of money anywhere, but she wants to be here to serve the veterans, and she loves.
You know, it's like they used to have better stores. It could be. Give us a 3, 2, 1, please. It could be you didn't have that. Give us a 3, 2, 1, please. Go blink. I don't want it to look bad.
All of us. You guys want to? Let me take my position. You're in the center. Oh, you get on that. Okay.
If you could just take 1 step so you can come in the back. All right, big smile, 1, 2, and. There were 2. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Outside, Ed. Quick. Hang with me. Make sure you keep rolling. Get over it, come on. So you're getting audio, right?
Yeah. Hello, you heard this regarding you? Good, thanks for asking. Make sure it's gonna be this by this door.
Pardon me?
I'm gonna make sure it's gonna be coming by this door.
Okay.
You got the confirmation that it's gonna come by this door?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No, I don't know for sure. This is where you drove, so we figured, okay.
You just follow me, right?
You're Sheila's driver, right?
Yes, I am. Well, I'll let you know. Thank you, Charisma. Charisma? I'm not sure if the right door is the next door on the back side, right? Or in the front? Oh, okay. The front, okay. One side. Okay. Wait right now.
On the other side. keep rolling. We don't want to lose any of this. Okay. You got a shot of his van, kind of like, you know, playing games with us? All right. Good thing I'm a jogger. Shooting him, kind of walking around, instead of laughing, just make sure you roll on all of it. Take a shot of me standing here like with the van and waiting outside the church, right? Hey there. Not really. I mean, we're trying to get something here that's kind of fluid here. Right now.
Get in another vehicle somewhere.
I bet she is getting into a vehicle in the back. And they're probably just going to meet him, you know, down the street somewhere. So why don't you stay here? All right. And if you see her coming out, that's great. And if not, I will go to the back and try to maybe do it with my phone if she comes out. Okay? What?
Take it easy.
You want to keep the stick or should I? Talk to me, Ed. Come on. No, I said, you want to keep the stick microphone or should I? Thank you. I'm aware of that. They're not going to lock us out. So, like I said, there's no reason for both of us to go back there. I think you should wait up here. If you see her coming out one of these doors, just walk over to her I just asked her, you know, why won't you talk to me? Something simple like that.
Tonight from the House Ethics Committee's investigation into local Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick. We now know what she's accused of. The Congresswoman is under investigation for suspected campaign finance violations. One of those allegations she's facing is if she directed taxpayer money for community projects to a for-profit company. There are also questions about whether or not she accepted campaign donations in exchange for official actions. The committee is also examining whether or not she gave special favors to friends when requesting federal funding and if she misreported or accepted contributions from people who had been hiding their identities. Congresswoman has not officially been charged with any wrongdoing, and the investigation is still ongoing. Congresswoman's office says it has no comment. We were the first to report that the Congresswoman had been when she was working at a former company that she was running, Trinity Healthcare, had settled with the state and has now agreed to start repaying the $5.6 million to the Florida Department of Emergency Management. Those funds had been given to Trinity by the state. It was later determined to have been a clerical error.
A major update on South Florida Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick. She's been indicted. You'll remember back in May, we reported on a House Ethics Committee investigation into her campaign finances and ties to a small healthcare company she ran. Now, federal prosecutors say the case has escalated dramatically. Tonight, federal prosecutors in Miami announcing a grand jury has indicted McCormick on charges of stealing $5 million in federal disaster funds and funneling that money into her 2021 campaign. According to the indictment, she and her brother Edwin allegedly diverted an overpayment for her family healthcare company, laundering it through multiple accounts to disguise its source before it went toward her campaign. McCormick has denied wrongdoing in the past. CBS 12 News frequently pressed the Democratic Congresswoman several times in public settings, seeking answers. Now prosecutors accuse her of outright theft of taxpayer dollars. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi saying in a statement, quote, using disaster relief funds for self-enrichment is a particularly selfish, cynical crime, adding that they will deliver justice. Cherfilus-McCormick has already launched her re-election campaign, but she could face up to 53 years in prison if convicted.
Your thoughts on the indictment, please?
Well, it's an unjust indictment, and it seems like these intimidation tactics have been pervasive. We spent all week seeing different members getting censured, all in hopes of intimidating and kind of distracting from the Epstein files. And I look forward to my day in court so I can prove myself and actually state the truth. But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district. And everybody has been giving me so much support, and we're going to keep fighting until the district gets what it needs, which is fair prices, housing, and fair representation of Congress.
But did
so thank you so much.
What's your response to the calls of some of your colleagues to step down or resign?
They didn't elect me. It was my district, and so we'll keep fighting for the people and keep working like we're doing now until they get what they need. So we're here for the people. So the only people who elected me should make that decision. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Everyone, I'm Jim Grimes.
And I'm Lily Ortiz. Liz has the night off for assignment.
Yes, right. CBS 12 News I-Team now holding the powerful accountable. A Florida Congresswoman now facing 17 federal criminal counts, accused of steering millions in pandemic money into her own campaign.
That's right. Democrat Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick is now under federal indictment, and tonight she says she's stepping back from several leadership roles on House subcommittees.
Yeah, we've been following this investigation closely, and even though the Congresswoman agreed to repay the state millions after an accidental overpayment, this indictment makes it clear that her troubles are far from over.
In fact, this indictment means that she could be facing prison time if she is convicted. CBS 12 News I-Team Chief Mike Magnoli is live in the newsroom with the very latest.
So the Congresswoman has been the subject of multiple investigations. Her company was sued by the state, then went through mediation and settled. But this is next level stuff because she is up against the Justice Department, and this indictment is full of details. So if she's convicted on these counts, she's looking at 53 years behind bars. A federal grand jury in Miami has indicted Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick. That means she could be on her way to a federal criminal trial. Her political future in jeopardy. Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick is accused of funneling nearly $6 million in taxpayer money to her campaign. That money was a payment to her family's company, Trinity Healthcare Services. Trinity was involved in Florida's COVID-19 response and was paid for registering elderly Floridians for their vaccine injections. Florida's Department of Emergency Management accidentally overpaid Trinity, then discovered the mistake, and sued the company to get the money back. Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick left the company to run for Congress, and eventually she won the seat for District 20, formerly held by Alcee Hastings. As the controversy around the Congresswoman grew, the CBS 12 News I-team pressed her for answers.
Why don't you speak with us right now? We've been trying to get answers about this for a long time.
We can't talk about it right now.
But I also wanted to ask you about the investigation into your families.
We're being told we can't come inside.
So the Congresswoman has avoided our questions at several of her events here in South Florida, but I want to show you this. We're in the feed room right now at CBS 12 News, and we're monitoring this camera. This is in Washington, D.C., and those doors are the Congresswoman's office.
Well, it's an unjust indictment, and it seems like these intimidation tactics have been pervasive. We spent all week seeing different members getting censured, all in hopes of intimidating and kind of distracting from the Epstein files. And I look forward to my day in court so I can prove myself and actually state the truth. But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people.
The Congresswoman is accused of using straw donors, redirecting the state payment money to friends who then contributed to her campaign. She's also charged with conspiring to file a false federal tax return. And in the indictment, her brother Edwin is identified as a co-conspirator. Back with you live here. So what happens next? Can she keep her job? Well, Congress can expel a member, but the House and the Senate have to agree on that. It's got to be 2/3 majority. The president does not have the authority to fire a member of Congress, nor does the governor of their state. And to give you a little historical background here, only 20 expulsions have happened in the history of Congress. Most of them were in the run-up to the Civil War. But the Congresswoman up against a lot of trouble here. We'll let you know what happens next with her. And the election for District 20 happens in November 2026. I'm Mike Magnoli, CBS 12 News.
In a statement, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is saying that using disaster relief funds for self-enrichment is a particularly selfish, cynical crime. She goes on to say no one is above the law, least of all powerful people who rob taxpayers for personal gain. We will follow the facts in this case and deliver justice.